Hello students, let us move to the balance of the topic that we have been discussing, that is balance of current electricity. Okay, now we are going to discuss one of the major topics of this lesson, which is frequently asked for the board exams. The topic is drift velocity. Okay, topic is drift velocity. First listen to the definition. It is defined as the average velocity with which free electrons of a conductor is drifted towards a positive end of the conductor when potential is applied across the ends of the conductor. Okay, listen here, I will explain. That is, let us consider a metallic conductor first. Metallic conductor. This metallic conductor consists of large number of free electrons. As you know, the free electrons are responsible for the conduction in a metallic conductor, and these free electrons are in random motion. You know that, isn't it? So these are in random motion. That is, before applying an electric field, the electrons are in random motion, and when we take their velocities, the sum of the average velocities, you will get it as 0. As you have studied that the molecules, like the gas molecules and all, no, they are in a random motion, and if you take the average out of the sum average, you will get the value of velocities as 0. Understand? Now, here what we are doing is, we are applying a field. We are applying an external field. So when you apply an external field, you know that a field will provide a force, isn't it, on this particular conductor. Due to that force, the electrons will align in such a way that the electrons will be aligning in such a way that it will move towards the positive end of the conductor. Understand? Before applying electric field, they were in random motion, but when you apply a field externally, the electrons will align itself in such a way that it will move towards the positive end of the conductor. That means, you know, here there is an induced field is set up inside. Due to the induced field, the electrons possess a force, and this force makes the electron to drift. Okay, drift a while, drift a little to another side. Understand? This drifting, the movement along with this drift is termed as drift velocity. Now you listen the definition. This is defined as the average velocity with which the free electrons of a conductor is drifted, okay, towards a positive end of the conductor, when potential is applied across the ends of a conductor. Got it? So, this is defined as the average velocity. This drift velocity is actually the average velocity. For example, if you are taking a particular distance L of this metallic conductor, it has to cross this distance in a particular time interval, isn't it? That is velocity. Distance or displacement by time is the velocity. So, the average velocity with which the free electrons align itself and they are drifted towards. Why they got drifted? Because of the force. Why they got force or how they got force? Because of the external electric field applied. Got it? So, because of this field, it induces a field inside, force is experienced by the electrons, it will align itself in a particular order and it will move towards the positive end. Actually, that movement is the drifting, okay, and that is called the drift velocity. Understand? Now, we are going to derive an expression for the drift velocity, okay. Okay, let us move to the derivation part. So, this is actually the first case where the electrons are in random motion. And this is a metallic conductor having a length L and area of cross section is A. Okay. In the second case, I applied a potential externally, and due to this potential, the electrons will drift towards the positive end of the battery, and that drifting, that velocity with which it drifts is termed as drift velocity. Okay. So, drift velocity is expressed by the letter Vd. Vd is the drift velocity. Clear? So, in the first case, as I told, each electron is having a velocity, initial velocity. You know that the letter used to represent initial velocity is u. So it can be u1, u2, u3, etc. To n number of electrons means you will write it as un, isn't it? And what about the average of these velocities? I told that as they are colliding each other, because of the random movement, they will collide each other and the average of the velocities will be 0. Understand? So you can take the average velocity. Average velocity, let it be u1, u2. This is for the first case, okay? u1, u2, u3, etc. to un. So the average velocity can be taken as 0, which is u1 plus u2 plus u3 plus etc. to un divided by n, which is equal to 0. Clear? This is clear, no? Now for the second case. For the second case, you are applying a potential. While you apply a potential, that means you are providing a field, isn't it? When an external electric field is provided, it is actually exerting a force on the electron, and because of the force, it is drifting to one side, isn't it? So a force is created. What about the force? If there is a charge, force, electric field, what is the equation? You have studied in the first chapter, that is E is equal to F by Q. E equal to F by Q. And here, since it is an electron, I will write it as E. Okay, charge on a electron. Understand? So F is equal to what? F is equal to E. E into E. E is the charge of electron and capital E is the electric field. Now in some textbooks or some guides and all, here negative sign is also taken. Why? Because you know that the field is providing in this direction, isn't it? Electrons are drifting towards this direction. So the direction is opposite. So you can write the negative sign also, no issue. Understand? So F is equal to EE. Okay. Now this move, because of this movement, the electron is having an acceleration. The electron is having an acceleration. So you can relate it with Newton's second law of motion, and you have the expression for force, which is F is equal to ma. F is equal to ma. So this is equation number 2, equation number 3, this is equation number 1. Okay. So F equal to EE and also F equal to ma. You can equate this 2 and 3. So 2 equals 3 will give you EE is equal to ma. Okay. Now what is acceleration from this expression? A is equal to EE by m. Okay. That is equation number 4. This much is clear. So first we discuss the case for a metallic conductor which is not provided with an external electric field. Second case, we are providing an external electric field and the electrons experience a drift velocity. Now we are going to derive the expression for drift velocity. For that, first we take the condition that the sum of the average value of the velocities in the first case, that is before providing external field, is taken as 0 because of the random movement, they collide each other. Understand? That is the first equation. Next, we told that we are providing an external field, and because of this field, there will be a force exerted on the electron so that it drifts to one side, and that is given by the expression F is equal to EE. E is the charge on the electron. Okay, you can relate this equation with Newton's second law of motion, that is F is equal to ma. Equating these two, you will get the expression for acceleration, which is A is equal to what? EE by m. Understand? Okay, so this acceleration is actually the constant acceleration. It is the constant acceleration of each individual electron. Constant acceleration of each individual electron. Okay, now if it is constant acceleration, you can use the Newton's laws of motion. You have studied equations of motion where V equal to U plus AT, then S equal to ut plus half at square and v square minus u square equal to 2as. These equations are actually applied for constant acceleration. You remember? Okay. Now I am taking the first equation of motion here in this case, that is v is equal to u plus at. V is equal to u plus at. Clear? So for the first electron, I can write the final velocity will turn to v1 equal to u1 plus at1. A is a constant, no? Constant acceleration. Next V2. V2 is equal to U2 plus AT2. Understand? V3. U3 plus AT3 plus etc. to Vn is equal to Un plus Atn. In this way, I can write the expressions for final velocities. Okay. Now, if I am taking the V average, what is the expression I am getting? V average is equal to U1 plus AT1 plus U2 plus AT2 plus U3 plus AT3 plus etc. plus Un plus Atn divided by n. If there are n number of electrons present there, you have to divide it by n so that you will get the average velocity, average final velocity. Understand? Now, taking the terms of u together, you will write u1 plus u2 plus u3 plus etc. to un. You can write like this, divided by n. Clear, no? A is constant, so A into T1 plus T2 plus T3 plus etc. divided by n. This much is clear? Simple only. So just applying the equations to our Newton's equations of motion. Now just arranging the equations. Now look here. U1 plus U2 plus U3 plus etc. to un by n. What is that? That is our first equation. Our initial velocity before applying field, isn't it? What is that value? This is equal to 0. So this term will turn to 0. So what is the final expression? That is V average is equal to A into T1 plus T2 plus T3 plus etc. divided by m. Okay. This value, that is the average of this time, is called relaxation time. Again, important. Relaxation time. Along with drift velocity, actually I have to mention that also. That is also an important question for the board exams. That is relaxation time. Okay. How do we write this relaxation time? It is actually the way we write tau. Tau you know. Torque you write, no? So like that you are writing. And we call it as tau. Okay. So I can write V average is actually equal to A tau. V average is equal to A tau. Clear? So V average is equal to A tau. And this average velocity, as per our first definition for drift velocity, this average velocity is called what? Drift velocity. Understand? Vd. I can call it as Vd. So Vd is equal to A tau. Vd is equal to A tau. Understand? Now we have the expression, no? For acceleration we have the expression. So you substitute here. You substitute the value of what? A tau. We can do that, right? So Vd equal to A tau. Now for A, I am substituting the value for acceleration here. That is E by m into tau. So Vd is equal to E by m into tau. Very, very important. Okay. So study well. Once again I will tell. This is an expression for drift velocity. And drift velocity is the average velocity when a metallic conductor is connected to what? An external field. What will happen? The electrons present inside the metallic conductor will drift a little, which causes a particular velocity, and that velocity with which it drifts to the positive side of the conductor is known as drift velocity. Okay, how will you derive the expression? Actually, we are taking two cases: before applying the field and after the field, after applying the field. Before field, you can say that electrons are in random motion inside a metallic conductor, so that the average of the velocities will turn out to be 0. Okay. So, if the initial velocities are u1, u2, u3, etc., you can take the equation as u1 plus u2 plus etc. to un divided by n. Why? Because we are taking the average. If there are n number of electrons, you have to divide it by n so that you are getting average, which is equal to 0. Now, we told that we are applying a field there, and because of the field, what will happen? A force is exerted. So, you know the expression for force, F is equal to QE, isn't it? Instead of Q, I am writing E, no problem for that, because E, the charge of electron, that's all. So F is equal to EE. You can take negative sign also, since the opposite direction is opposite. Okay, field is applying in one direction and the movement of electron is in the opposite direction to that of the field. And now the Newton's second law of motion, since these are having a constant acceleration, F is equal to m into E, and you can equate the values of force, that is ma is equal to E. E is charge and capital E is the electric field. Now you take the expression for acceleration A, which is E by m. Understand? Now, since it is constant acceleration, we can apply to the Newton's equations of motion, that is v equal to u plus at. There you are finding the final velocities and taking the sum or taking the average. That average velocity is denoted as the drift velocity. While finding, a term will turn to 0, the initial velocity will turn to 0, and finally you will get A into tau. Now, A into tau. Now listen, what is this tau? Instead of A, I can put the value E by m into tau. Now tau is, I told, that is the relaxation time. Actually, tau means it is the time interval between two successive collisions. What do you mean by that? Time interval between two successive collisions. That means electrons are moving now. So, and during their movement they are colliding also. So if one electron is colliding with the other, and then that electron will move to some other side, and next electron it move to collide, isn't it? So there is a small time gap in between. That means after the first collision, then it moved to the next electron for the collision. At that time there is a small gap, time interval is there, no? That small time interval is known as the relaxation time. The time interval between two successive collisions. Always electrons are colliding since they are randomly moving, and during their movement, first they collide, then after collision they will move to some other side to collide with the next electron. So during that moment, that gap, no, that is called the relaxation time. Clear? Now, in this expression, instead of E, I can put another value, the relation between potential and electric field. What is that? That is E is equal to V by L. You know, V by L, where V is the potential and L is the length. So, Vd is equal to EV by M L tau. Why I wrote this? Because for numericals it will be asked. So don't get confused that if V and L are not given. You should understand. Okay, it is understood there. So Vd is equal to EV by ML into tau. Clear? Now listen, if for a constant potential, I can say that this Vd is inversely proportional to length. You can see that because E constant, M constant. Okay. If potential is also constant time, then you can say that Vd is inversely proportional to what? Length. Understand? Now again, if at constant length, I can say that Vd is proportional to potential. Clear now? Vd is proportional to potential. Now one important point. Okay. That is this metallic conductor is there. Okay. I am applying suitable temperature and heating this particular metallic temperature. That means metallic conductor. That means temperature is increased. When the temperature is increased, you know, these molecules will attain energy. Isn't it? Which energy? Kinetic energy. Because of kinetic energy, electrons will move randomly. In a vigorous manner it will move. Isn't it? So, when you increase the temperature, the kinetic energy of the electrons increases. When you increase the temperature is increased, kinetic energy is increased. As a result, collision also increases. Then what will happen to the relaxation time? You just think. When the collision increases, no, that means sudden collisions are happening. Collision is sudden. When one electron collides with the other and next suddenly it collides with the next one. So the relaxation time gets reduced. That the gap, that interval, that time interval gets reduced. Understand? So relaxation time gets reduced. Now if the relaxation time is reduced, what about the drift velocity? Because Vd is directly proportional to tau. So if the relaxation time is reduced, Vd also decreases. Drift velocity also decreases. Got it? So this is one of the important point there. That is when temperature is increased, okay, when temperature is increased, kinetic energy increases, as a result collision increases, relaxation time decreases, and so the drift velocity also decreases. This much is clear for you? Yes or no? I hope it is yes. Okay, now we are moving to one more derivation. Okay. So another important question again, that is to derive the relation between current and drift velocity. To derive the relation between current and drift velocity. Okay, actually I will write the expression here. That is what we are going to derive. That is current I is equal to N A E V D. N A E V D. N is the number of electrons per unit volume. N is the number of electrons per unit volume. A is the area of cross section of the conductor. E is the charge of electron, and Vd is the drift velocity. Okay, so shall we move to the derivation part? Okay. So this is the conductor having length L and area of cross section A. We are providing external field. So the direction is like this. Because of the drift, it is having a drift velocity. Direction is towards this direction, which is opposite to the electric field provided. Understand? Now, first I can write the general expression for current. What is the general expression? I is equal to Q by T. I is equal to Q by T. Okay. If small n is the number of electrons, small n is the number of electrons per unit volume. Small n is the number of electrons per unit volume. That is n, small n is equal to, let the number of electrons be capital N. Okay, n by volume is V. Small n is equal to capital N by V. N is the number of electrons and V is the volume. So small n is the number of electrons per unit volume. How will you write the total charge? How will you write the total charge? Condensation of charge. Remembering, as it is Q equal to NE, isn't it? Q equal to NE. So the total charge of the conductor can be represented as Q is equal to NE, where N is the number of electrons. N is the number of electrons and E is the charge of electron. Now listen. Here volume is there, no? What is the expression for volume? Here you have the area of cross section A and length L. So the volume is A into L. Volume is A into L. Clear? Now what is N from this equation? N is equal to N into volume, which is N A L. Clear? This is clear. That is, small n is capital N by V. V is A into L. So substituting here, cross multiplying. So N is equal to NaL. This N is the number of electrons, simply the number of electrons. So here I am going to substitute the value for capital N. Okay. So it will be N, A, L and E. N, A, L, E. Understand? Now, here I want to find the expression for what? Current, right? So I is equal to Q by T. Isn't it? So Q, I got the expression NaLe divided by T. Okay. So what is this L by T? L by T is actually what? Distance by time is velocity. Isn't it? So I can write N, A, E and velocity V. Okay. N, A, E, V. Understand? So what is VD from this equation? VD is I by NAE. I by NAE. Understand? So for a constant current, I can say VD is inversely proportional to area. For a constant current, I can say VD is inversely proportional to area. Okay, if area increases, the velocity decreases. Like that. Now for constant area, I can say VD is directly proportional to current. You got the point? So that's all for the derivation here. Once again, we are going to derive the expression for current and drift velocity. First you have to write the general expression for current, that is I is equal to Q by T. Okay. Then we are taking the number of electrons per unit volume as small n. So it can be written as N by V. N is the number of electrons. Now for volume we have the expression area into length, that is V is equal to A into L. Now N equal to N into V. Okay. For V I put the value AL. So capital N is equal to small n AL. Clear. Now here Q, as per condensation of charge, Q equal to N into E, and for N I wrote the value NaL. Okay. Now I equal to Q by T, so NaLe by T, where L by T is the velocity Vd. So the expression goes like NaE Vd, that is the relation connecting I and the drift velocity, that is I is equal to NaE into Vd. Understand? Okay. So next topic is combination of resistors, that you have already studied in 10th standard. That means resistors can be combined in series or in parallel, like we studied in the case of capacitors. Okay, small differences are there, so let us look at that. Okay, so first is series combination. Series combination. Next is parallel. Series and parallel combinations. Now listen, in series combination, the main points that you want to keep in mind is, first one is, what is series combination? It is end to end connection. Okay, you know, end to end connection. So it is end to end connection. So if this is the resistor, the end of this resistor is connected to another resistor like this. Okay, so this is called end to end connection. Understand? Now parallel connection means, if there are two resistors, like this, these terminals are connected to a common point on one side, as well as here the terminals are connected to another common point on the other side. This is called what? Parallel connection. Okay, so the two terminals on either side connected to a common point. Clear? That is called parallel combination. Now the main thing that you have to listen here is, first one is, in series combination, the current will remain the same. The current will remain the same. But in parallel combination, the current will be different. That means if I amount of current is flowing and coming here at this junction, it will get split into two. Okay, it will split into two. That is called that is why it is said that current is different. For if this resistor has a value of 3 ohm and this has 5 ohm, means depending upon the value of resistance, the current will also vary. Okay. Now third one is, the potential difference will be different, or the voltage will be different. Okay, here the potential difference will be the same. Understand? Now the effective resistance can be taken as the sum of individual resistances. That means if there are large number of resistors like R1, R2, R3, etc., you can find what? The effective resistance in series as Rs is equal to R1 plus R2 plus etc. to Rn. Clear? In the case of parallel combination, the reciprocal of the effective resistance is equal to what? The sum of the reciprocals of the individual resistances. Sum of the reciprocals of individual resistances. Clear? So these are the main points. Now we have to derive this expression. Okay. So we will move to the derivation part. Once again, first, what is series connection? It is end-to-end connection, whereas parallel means the two terminals on either side are connected to two common points. Now the current will be same and potential difference will be different in the case of series, whereas in parallel connection, current will be different and potential difference or voltage will be same. Effective resistance can be calculated as the sum of resistances of individual resistance, and here what the effective resistance, the reciprocal of effective resistance is the sum of the reciprocals of individual resistances. Okay. Now we will move to the derivation part of this particular equations, this one and this one. Okay. So for series combination, let us consider the resistors in series. R1, R2 and R3. Okay. If I am connecting a voltmeter, I can measure the voltage, and an ammeter here to measure the what? Current. Okay. Now listen, here which one is constant? Current is constant, but potential will differ. So if I amount of current is flowing, the common potential is V, I amount of current is flowing along R1, R2 and R3, the current is I. Understand? But here across R1, the potential difference will be V1. Let it be V1. For R2 it is V2 and for R3 it is V3. Okay, the potential difference will be different. So to find the total potential, we will take the equation V is equal to V1 plus V2 plus V3. V1 plus V2 plus V3. Understand? By Ohm's law, I can write I into R. V equal to I into R, right? Here what I can write here, that is I R1, because I is a constant, no? So I R1 plus I R2 plus I R3. Clear? So I will get cancelled on both sides. So final expression is R equal to R1 plus R2 plus R3. Okay? This is the effective resistance when the resistors are connected in series. Clear? Now look here, if I am taking 2 or 3 resistance like 1.5 ohm, then 2 ohm and 1.5 ohm. Okay. So I am adding this. If it is in series, I have to add this. Okay. So the expression, the value will become 1.5 plus 2 plus 1.5 will give you what? 5 ohm. Clear? So here what I want to say is, in these 3 values of resistance, this 2 ohm is the largest resistance. But the effective resistance is always greater than the greatest of the individual resistance. So that is also a point. Effective resistance in series, whenever we add these 3 or 4 like that, what the effective resistance that we are getting is always greater than the largest of the individual resistance. If you have 3 or 4 resistance in which you are having the larger value, one larger value you will have it, and then you are adding these expressions, means you will get a value which is again larger than the largest of the individual resistance. Understand? Now for parallel connection, you will take the diagram like this is the parallel connection. Voltmeter is connected across, then ammeter is there, cell or a battery, then Okay, direction of current. So R1, R2 and R3. I amount of current and V is the power supply. I amount of current, when it reach here, it will get split into I1, I2 and I3. I1, I2 and I3. But in the case of parallel connection, the voltage will remain the same, isn't it? Voltage will remain the same. So I can write the expression. I have to find the total value of current here. That is I equal to I1 plus I2 plus I3. Instead of I can write V by R equal to, V is constant, so V by R1 plus V by R2 plus V by R3. Understand? So V will get cancelled and final expression is 1 by R equal to 1 by R1 plus 1 by R2 plus 1 by R3. 1 by R1 plus 1 by R2 plus 1 by R. You got the expression, right? So the reciprocal of the effective resistance is the sum of the reciprocals of the individual resistances. Okay. If I am taking the values of 2, 4 like that, and I am taking the effective resistance in the case of parallel connection, how will you get the values? If I am taking values like 2, 4, okay. 2, 4. So 1 by 2 plus 1 by 4, what will you get? 6 by 8. That is 1 by R equal to 6 by 8 and R equal to 8 by 6, which is 4 by 3, which is 1.33 ohm. Okay. Now listen here. You got the effective resistance which is smaller than the smallest resistance of the given resistor values. That means if you are having 2 or 3 resistances, you can check the smallest value. When you find the effective resistance, you will get a value which is always smaller than the smallest value or the least value of the individual resistances. That is the case of parallel combination. Such a way you can check whether the answer is right or wrong also. Okay. So these are this topic you have studied in 10th standard, but still you have to study the derivation part because it is asking for the examinations. Okay. So today you have studied a lot of concepts, a lot of points. Go through it. Try to prepare a note by yourself. That will be very useful for you. Okay, when you hear the class, you can prepare the notes. Every time you have to be ready with a pen and a paper so that you can prepare notes and it will be very useful for you also. Okay, so today I am going to wind up the class and study well. Have a nice day. Thank you.